Hello, James Redfield.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, very good. It's good to speaking with you again. Thank you so much for taking the time.
My pleasure. Always
Um,
talk to you.
yeah, your teachings are so important, and particularly right now as the conscious convergence is coming. Can you tell us about that and how you feel and what you recommend?
Well, it's I think it's uh, really important that we take this seriously. All the information about what the calendar means and the accurate dates of things coming up in the future are still being understood widely, and I think it's great that we to be clear about it now, to go ahead and start exploring it now, because it's going this energy that we're going to be able to feel and tune into is already out there, and it's moving this way. And I think the conscious convergence is a way that we can go ahead and tune in and sort of get in resonance with this energy. And it sounds very, very mysterious, but again, it's something I think that we can feel for ourselves. And once we do, then the whole calendar will make a lot more sense.
So how can we tune in into something we don't know how it will feel?
Well, what we do know already is how love feels. We know how those magic moments that some people call peak experiences or mystical experiences or God experiences, many of us know how those feel. And it's my opinion that all that will happen with this wave of consciousness is that we'll tune in and remember more about who we are, more about the feeling of love and unity that can happen among all people. And apart from that, what will occur is it will be very, very inspired to go out into the world and do something. Mm-hmm. We feel in our hearts and our souls is very, very important to do. It's always a truth that we have to tell. And the higher energy will just make that clarity about this truth fuller and more clear. So again, it's something that I believe that we'll tune into quite naturally. Mm-hmm. And it begins, of course, with understanding the broader message of the calendar. Mm-hmm. And one thing that's important to know is that, among all the experts out there and all the people that are talking about it, I think Carl Kalman is the one that really has taken it most seriously. He's tried to explore it all in a scientific manner without, avoiding the esoteric parts of this. This is a very spiritual message that's coming from the calendar, and one has to look at all of it. I think he's done that, and the amazing thing to me is that we now know that the calendar is a story of the human experience on this planet. Through all their architecture and all their inscriptions, they were trying to convey to us a greater knowledge about why we're here and what we're doing. And that is, of course, that we're here to have a spiritual experience and to bring the whole world to unity. And that's happened over eons. I mean, purely eons. I mean, the calendar really starts at the very, very beginning, with the Big Bang, where we have, and then it divides. Then it talks about 9 steps that humans have taken. It talks about the cellular level, and that is when all of the surrounding physical theater for life to begin was created 16 and a half billion years ago. And out of that grew cellular life and this greater complexity where cells came together to create greater consciousness. And that went through the first reptiles and mammals, and all the way through the up to anthropoids and monkeys, until the first human being was a unification of cellular life into this higher organism that's us. And after that, the unification was inspired in us to take place in human consciousness. So the first humans had a very low consciousness. They were very organized in tribes and in searching for food and that sort of thing. But they quickly, and all that happened, let's say, 2 million years ago or so. And then all of a sudden they began to organize, their consciousness expanded. They became aware more of each other and developed that. And all of a sudden you had language and tools and agriculture and the first religions, the first attempt to codify some explanation, for why they were alive. And then, that was going on all the way to about 100,000 years ago, when you had this, what the Mayans called a regional type consciousness, which meant, spoken language was all around, and people became aware of that they could communicate in better ways with each other. And out of that grew this sense of national identity, where we created nations, written language and science and all those things about 4,000 BC.
And then, more and more separation took place as we progress.
Well, I would call it more and more unity takes place.
Okay.
Every step in consciousness was a greater consciousness of each other and a greater unification with each other. Because in the regional, for instance, in the regional step, what you really had was just tribes sort of conscious of each other, but mainly warring with each other. But then those tribes became unified into nations eventually. And then about the calendar, according to Kalaman, shows that around 1755 we became we entered a planetary consciousness. What that means is it was just a consciousness that we weren't just of a nation, we were of a planet. So the unity began to reach out in very haphazard ways, and in very 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of progress. But still, that's what the calendar was telling us, and that's exactly what has happened. So eventually, and that date Kalaman points to, it's around 1999. We entered a galactic consciousness, and what that means, or began to develop a galactic consciousness. And what that means is that we became aware we're not just all together on a planet. We began to understand that we could transcend even that consciousness to realize we were here for some purpose. And I believe that led right into everyone holding very, very tightly to their own religious beliefs. Until now, if what we have going on out there is an actual war over religion. Whose religion is best? That's what it's really all about, conducted by the fanatics of the various religions. But what we're waiting on, and what Kalaman points to is beginning on March the 8th, 2011, is this entry into what the calendar calls a universal consciousness, which can transcend this war over religion to what I believe is a consciousness that's built around direct spiritual experience. So
and that's the ninth wave.
That's correct. That is that ninth
final wave
of consciousness that will begin. Now it's not going to be fully in, but it'll begin on March the 8th, 2011, which is just around the corner.
Yeah.
And here we are having this, what I would call a tune-in session that we're calling the Conscious Convergence.
July 17 and 18.
That's correct, of 2010. So, here we are right on the verge after we're alive. Can think of the amazing fact of that. Here we are alive after, 16 or 17 billion years of evolution, ready for what the calendar says is a culminating, final sort of opening to the consciousness that was the goal of this evolution all along. So that's pretty dramatic. And I believe that as, over the next 6 months to a year, we're going to really understand in depth how our consciousness can grow and change. It's very similar, I think, to what I've been intuiting and calling insights. The steps in evolution that I've described as insights, and in that sense, it's the understanding and the experience that can come in, and I believe that's what's going to happen. We're going to understand this with ever greater clarity in the next 6 to 12 months.
So how is it? I know that your next book, The 12th Insight, is coming in February 2011. Can you tell us the parallel between the 12th Insight and what's happening with the Maya calendar and the ninth wave?
Well, each of these waves of consciousness, the 9 that we've been talking about, according to the Mayans, comes in 7 steps. It's really 7 days periods and 6 night periods. So it's 13 overall steps, but there are really 7 surges of consciousness. So each of these steps, each of these 9 phases has through each one of them, there were these 7 major steps to integrate and download this consciousness. So the same thing is going to happen, I believe, when the universal comes in. So, whether you call it synchronicity, I don't know, but what I believe I contribute here is how these will feel to us. And I think that the 12th insight is a kind of aha that, again, I'm not making up. I'm just trying to describe. It's already underway. I think this conscious convergence is part of it. But it's really the understanding in terms of our own consciousness and our own spiritual experience of how we can build this great, and we don't build it, we accept it. Accept this greater consciousness that's going to be available to us. And Callum and I agree on the fact that just because this universal consciousness is going to officially start in March of 2011, it doesn't mean that people are going to be swept up into it without opening up. It'll be easier for us to accept this consciousness, but it's not going to be imposed on us. We're going to have to tune in. And so how to tune in is more about, it's more what I believe is the, what we're learning to do now, as I would call the 12th insight. It's just how to tune in and how to get our sea legs about us in terms of this new consciousness. So, I take a stab at in a story form, in a parable, in a sort of dramatic showing, in this book of how it's going to feel, how we'll treat each other differently, how we'll open up on the inside to, what I think of as a mystical or God experience, and how we'll really begin to live that. We get this glimpse of love and a glimpse of giving. And as we start to open up through all this, it's going to change the world, or can change the world in very dramatic ways if enough of us do it. And that means enough of us have to tune in, start to treat each other differently, and start to really move into alignment with the way the world works spiritually. Mm-hmm. In other words, we've these last few years, the thing that we've been working on is, how do we manifest a greater life? How do we bring abundance to ourselves? How do we get the world to work for us? How do we become more lucky? How do we have more synchronicity? All that. And now I think, as part of this 12th insight, what we're learning is that, hey, the way you do it is you get in alignment with how the universe is designed to reward us. And that alignment is, of course, coming back to integrity, which people everywhere are coming back to a personal telling of mm-hmm. the truth to each other. And we're so fed up with all the corruption and the lies everywhere, politics, business, everywhere, that it's sensitizing us to now come back to a personal integrity inside. Mm-hmm. And that's going to, once we get into that place, that's aligned with the way the universe is already designed. So instead of getting karma and things that, conflicts and things that slow us down, we'll be able to move through all that very rapidly once we learn how to stay aligned. And again, I'm just pointing out what I think we're already discovering out there. Mm-hmm. Once we stay in integrity, in truth, and stay aligned, then that, instead of getting karma, we activate this dream universe that this is supposed to be and is. And then things start to move and work out for us very synchronistically, and we stay clear about what we're doing, and we're able to tell other people in ever greater ways of what we're doing. And what happens is then everybody is able to find their own truth and tell their own truth, and the world then improves in very dramatic ways very quickly.
So it's a different pace.
Yep, it's a different pace, and it's a different way of handling everything we currently handle in our lives. Mm-hmm. Different way of reacting to people, the different way of...
So the feeling is more important than ever before. Feeling what's in our body, feeling what's going on, feeling... Is it true?
Well, I think that's right. It all begins with this centeredness that we find in a love state toward everyone. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the key things I try to cover in the 12th Insight, because mm-hmm. it's what people are discovering out there. There's a state of consciousness that's more blissful, where we handle irritations and conflicts and fears in a totally different way. And that's our grounding in consciousness that then lets all the higher abilities come in, like intuitive guidance and mm-hmm. Using this love to create a positive influence on all the people that we meet and talk to.
Yeah, but are we going to be? Does unity means that we're going to become more and more aware that we are a part of the universe, and each person that we encounter is part of that, and they are us and we are them, and so our interaction is going to radically change with everyone, being really aware of it.
That's exactly true. People sort of laugh at those who talk about love out there, and that won't, once enough of us tune into this consciousness, and again, I believe we already are. But once enough of us tune into this consciousness, then it becomes contagious, and other people realize that the consciousness is much more desirable than what's happening out there right now, which is everybody has their own preoccupation that keeps them from having to think about spirituality at all. You're just working all the time, or you're you're shopping all the time, or you're watching sports all the time, or you're you have all these little distractions that you try to keep going more and more. So, so many people are out there just wasting time to keep from having to think about the fact that they don't know they don't feel the spiritual truth around them. So all that will gradually shift. I don't think it's going to be a sweeping change, but it will, as we learn to tune into this consciousness that is the universal consciousness. It'll be closer to us than ever before. It'll be easier to do it than ever before. And it'll be easier to tell other people about it than ever before, because we'll just be in a clear state of mind. We'll have a clear understanding of what's happening.
Mm-hmm. And what is the shift in regards to religion? Because it seems like a lot of people that are very religious are into the good and evil and bad and this and that. Is that gonna... I mean, I'm wondering how this will evolve, or what people that seem a bit stuck in religion. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody, but it seems like there is a certain rigidity right now that needs to open up.
Well, that's right. And one of the things that I think is happening, and I talk about in the book, is that people are more and more, and that's not meaning the majority, but more and more there are more people every day that, while they embrace a certain religion, they don't believe, as the fanatics do, that their religion is the only way to open up to God or open up to the divine in our lives and the energy of that. Mm-hmm. So that's the main change that will occur, I believe, is that people will, if they have if they've grown up with a particular religion, because they otherwise personally are moving into a more alignment that calls for integrity and truthfulness and being of service to other people. All the religions will become more alike each other than not alike each other, and all the every religion will begin to focus more on the direct experience of spirituality rather than the doctrines they have about it.
So there'll be a unity.
That's right.
There also.
What I believe that and again, it's part of the book, but I believe that people already and religions already are moving slowly in the direction where they realize that they're all talking about the same experience, and that the experience is what is important.
Yeah. So people are going to relax a little bit and not try so much to be in the right or wrong.
Well, that's right. And because they're in alignment spiritually, and that, again, remember, that's going to come from an inner change, a shift toward integrity, which means telling the truth all the time. I mean, the exact truth all the time, not manipulating because we want to look better, not manipulating because we want to sound smarter, not manipulating for any reason, trying to make money off other people. We know there's no manipulation, because manipulation, there's a karmic effect. And when we manipulate, what do? We draw in to people who, as a service to us, unbeknownst to them, but as because it's built into the universe so that we'll be shown what it feels and looks like to do what we do so we can transcend it. We draw in people that manipulate us. So if we're manipulating our and being untruthful, then what happens is that the universe tries to show us what that looks like, and we draw in all these people that manipulate us and slow our dreams down. I mean, you get manipulated and you go, oh man, I wasted all this time, or I wasted all this money because someone manipulated me. So it slows the synchronicity down, it slows our dreams down. But once we get into integrity, then the universe changes and activates as a kind of dream machine, which gives us people coming into our lives that open up opportunities and new truths and new ways of doing things, so that our dreams come true much quicker.
Sometimes when people use the word truth, it seems a little bit rigid, like this is it as this is it. Is there a new definition of truth emerging?
Yeah, it's the best truth that you know. None of us have all the truth, right? I mean, it's just that's probably it's going to be a long time before the consciousness of the world gets to a set of absolute universal truths about existence. I believe those are out there. I think that what will make us unify on the planet is we'll finally realize what's actually going on. Mm-hmm. But each of us can get into the integrity of our own truth. And if we do that, then the universe will open up and bring us people that will not manipulate us, but will give us truths of their own so that we can say, oh, well, that's a better truth actually than I have. I'm going to adopt yours. So it's a kind of science of consensus building about what's spiritually real on the planet. So that's the way it's designed to work. That's the way it does work unconsciously. It has, over the eons, humans have blundered their way toward greater understanding of what's true in the universe, what's true about our existence. But we can practice that consciously, and that's what will happen when we return to integrity and we begin to really build on our own personal truth until it becomes greater. Each of our personal truths has kind of evolved to a greater and greater understanding. So we'll personally evolve toward representing and standing for ever more complete truths and greater truths, and that's just the way I believe it's designed. I believe we're discovering many of us out there already are discovering that's what it takes. You have to return to integrity. You have to tell people openly what you're all about. You'll realize that you'll discover greater truth about that as you go. But it's what gets us in alignment with the universe, and that, of course, is what opens it up so that our dreams can come true, instead of all the conflicts that we all feel hitting us now. There's nobody out there that tells all the truth all the time. It's very difficult. They don't want to look bad, or they don't want to hurt somebody else, or whatever it is. But I think what we're learning to do is there's a power in being centered in a truth that we stand for. Mm-hmm. And this is, some of the most spiritual people are, let's put it this way. Some of the people that call themselves the most spiritual are the greatest manipulators. And if you watch their lives, they kind of go in a circle and they're not very successful. And, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but again, we're all learning this right now. We're going to have to learn to be exactly truthful and exactly able to tell that truth, to all the people that come to us in life. And it's a law. If you're truthful, the universe will give you greater truth. If you're a manipulator who lies to get ahead, you're just going to get people that lie to you to get ahead in your life. So again, it's a rude awakening for the so-called spiritual community, and I would include myself. But it's okay because it's all of us can shift to truth in the blink of an eye. That's the great part of this. What's the way the universe is built, I believe. And when we do, instead of getting karma, what we get is, again, the universe coming open for us so that our best truth can come out and be of service to the world.
Well, thank you so much, James Redfield. Thank you for this time and for sharing all this with us. And I just want to remind everybody that the 17th and 18th is the Conscious Convergence. Very two important dates, and then your book is coming out in February 2011.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. We'll, it's just going to be an adventurous time, I believe, for all of us. And it means shifting a little bit inside ourselves, but the rewards we're going to find, I know, are going to be just amazing, and all these abilities will increase. And it's just going to be a wonderful time, and we're all here. It's not an accident. We're all here together. And it's important that enough of us tune in to turn this world around.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Take care.